Oh, back. I should say I'm back. What's the interesting changes going on right now? We'll get into it, but we'll just start poking about. I've been sitting here in the office the last couple of hours, so welcome along. For this time, we have a chat audio. I missed that last time. What's going on, dealing with go ahead and myself chat system.
The Daily Loafer says, hey bro.
It's Daily Loafer. Sorry about that. I used to have that one.
What are doing you?
Sitting here working on coding this project that you see on the screen. Also lets you share cameras and share your screen and stuff like a coding. So tonight this morning actually. Just working on a server-side canvas renderer so we can get this working on the PSP of all things. So I'm hoping to get YouTube chat up here. If I was focused, this would have all been done and ready to go. If not been.
In which field are you working?
So most of this is in JavaScript, server side and client side. I've worked all over C# desktop, native mobile applications, but
Awesome, bro.
web's where my expertise, and I appreciate your support. Thank you.
I really like your hard work.
Thanks a lot. Thank you very much. I'm gonna do some crap code just to get this working and then come back. Not just coding for fun here. The most important thing is like progress, not getting hung up.
Can you help me to suggest me what can I do after BTech, and I am currently seeking webdev CSS, so help me to guide me please.
Yeah, definitely. Some of them I really enjoy talking with developers looking to get into the industry. My first question would be: do you have a personal project that you're working on currently for fun?
Chetan Rao says working on socket programming.
Yes, yes, it's part of the system that's driving the YouTube chat. You're chatting with me on. We actually try to do something where sockets don't exist. They don't. There's no socket support in the PSP. But I'm still looking to have YouTube chat on here, so I'm standing up some web APIs to make all the same data available to this thing. It's definitely a bit of a challenge. Appreciate you spotting the socket. It's not everybody, not everybody does. So, I see. So I got two options here. I can pull this from the existing server context I have for each room channel, or I could fetch it from the database. We're just going to pull it right from memory.
I want connect to you. Please give any handle ID to learn and really know about you more.
Yeah, definitely, Daily Wafer. So if you can access Discord where you're at in the world, that's probably one of the best ways.
Like a chat room?
Yeah, exactly. What makes this a little bit different is I've got Twitch and Kick and a Discord channel all set up as well as YouTube to go into this little chat room right here. So my idea, like live streaming, is a little bit different. I kind of enjoy making live chat part of the stream. I think this is a good place to start. But you know, I'm still a hobby programmer at heart, so that's why I'm going over to the PSP. So anyone that has a PSP will be able to get on here and join the chat as well, which is funny because you definitely can't get on YouTube on the PSP. But it's good to see the chat. Sometimes I find working with crazy constraints, like a 20-year-old limited browser, is good as a developer. It helps you think outside the box a little bit more. You can't fall back to npm or things that you already know as much. You have to kind of architect your own systems, which is good because even if you do a really poor job at it, you're going to learn something from it. It's kind of where we're at. Today's world, it's more important than ever that you have a really wide grasp on technology. I don't recommend anyone in development like hyper focuses on like the way the industry's kind of had it laid out before, where it's segmented front end from back end. You kind of should pick up all up working full stack. And working on little games and socket driven stuff is really fun. And a great way to give you exposure to different technologies as well. The funny thing is, when I first started programming, I was like 12 years old, and I was working on socket stuff back then. And I really think that really helped as I developed a career in coding. Just to kind of have like a wider grasp on tools that I can use to do my job. So you know what I should see. Most of the servers broken out into plugins and modules, same at the front end, the client side. I found that like an event-based architecture has been more scalable to develop over time. It's a project I've been working on for a handful of years, so that means I've not had the opportunity to kind of restart time and time again. It's kind of building on what I've got and then refactoring it to go. There's all sorts of different things in motion. Just looking to see if I keep like a list of all the rooms based on the ID that were connected to the sync. I don't think I've had to do that. I'm happy to open up, any of the code here if there's anything you want to explain or wonder why I've done things a little way or why I'm using CGS for some parts of the server or the rest of it is NGS, and please feel free to ask. I'm not going to bother passing an ID, we're just going to start it right now. We need to load this in here. So the majority of the system is not built out in APIs. You might see like a handful of them up here. But the majority of the system is driven by WebSockets or peer-to-peer WebSockets. So we have none of that on PSP. So we're going to have to go back to server-side renderers and server-side data. And the funny thing is, I'm not going to bother making it available as JSON for the PSP. Essentially, we just have an XML HTTP request, which is the original AJAX request. That's what like underpins, fetch and stuff before that was re-implemented today in modern browsers. That's all we have in PSP, and we're lucky we have that. Right, I'm going to call it. Sometimes I find naming things in programming like one of the more difficult things, which is really funny. The keyboard view that's new, by the way, but I'm pretty excited to have that here. That should be registered now. And check this out. We do have updating stats on the screen, so I could go ahead and populate all these. I don't have to hide that because you can already see it. Perfect. Appreciate your support, guys. It's awesome. Guys, what interesting though, I do have a little side project we might test this weekend. I'm pretty excited about it. It's using WebRTC, this technology. So I can use my nice camera here out and about with my Steam Deck in a backpack to do like high quality streams in public, which is kind of funny. It's not exactly stick out a little bit testing it, but I built it and may as well get it out there. Same for this stuff. Let me just go ahead. And then go to this. I'm using Docker containers typically, but just for the speed of development here, we're not bothering with that. This is so much better express. Forgive me. It's right. The coding is just spent debugging. Surprising and Our user account or sockets be connected here in order to pop this back in. Yes, that's why I have to keep reloading and showing that's up. Let's get it minus 3.
The universe says console log.
Universal console log. It's funny. What's going on with the universe? Is that Pink Floyd I see in your profile picture? It's awesome. Yeah. Oh, it's set a middle error to eject your socket server into the express endpoint. Let's see. I did set the middle error. I'm just doing it manually. That makes sense. It might be a problem.
Iracles A. Pole FLTT says, what are we biling with Express?
Great question. So right now, as you can see, the system I'm coding is what your message got read out to me through. I'm setting it up. I'm setting up a PSP version so we can get YouTube chat onto the PSP. It's a 20-year-old console, and the web browser is very limited. So let's see if that gets focused again. So I'm basically pulling all the room data, all the chats, all the avatars, all the titles and stuff, and getting that in here. Stumbling around a lot like that. It's been a little while. That's okay. Get back. Let's see.
Cool. Any recommendations for a 24-year who just started his professional career as a software dev and decided to focus on learning MER and Stack?
Great question. So do you have a job right now? Are you already employed? And just so you know, this entire front end of my system is built out in React. So I'm always happy to talk about React stuff in development and what I've learned. And I'm using MongoDB for my database. You see, I'm using some Express for my backend, so that all lines up with what I'm doing here. I think that's a good stack. The biggest advice would always be to have a personal project or two and keep your skills fresh. Keep working on new projects. The tech field is volatile, and when I was younger, I moved around a lot of jobs quickly. Like if I got offered another job and I got $10,000 more a year working that job, I took it. And I recommend you do too. Don't owe anything to your employers; they will get rid of you as quick as anything if they need to. So I just recommend working on yourself the entire time and not just going all in on one company. I've done that many times, and I see people do that all the time. Be careful with that. Yeah, so there's no room because I wasn't logged in. someone in Merlot, you should really focus on your skills and being able to deploy your applications and manage them on the quote unquote cloud, so just servers as it's always been. But you should know how to use Amazon's AWS, Azure, Google's cloud. More and more, that's what responsibility developers is moving to, is keeping software that's already built up and running. Yeah, there we go. We're hitting the right endpoint now. It's found the socket, but it has not returned the room I am in. So that's interesting.
At the moment for my personal projects I either use GitHub Pages or render the free edition Grinning Face with Sweat.
That's GitHub projects and stuff is still an example of like a code deployment pipeline. One thing that you should just be familiar with is there's tons of different services, and like if you go into a job and they use like a specific pipeline, like Bitbucket's pipeline or Amazon's code deploy, or some use Jenkins and host it on site. And the biggest advice is just be adaptable. Software stacks are so big today, and there's so much abstraction between the code you write and like what actually gets ran at the end of the day that you're just going to have to use everything to keep playing around, deploy your projects everywhere. And I got into this when I was a kid. I never went to school for it, but I was already making good money at 18 doing this. I bought my house when I was 20, still pay a mortgage, but nothing speaks more than experience with systems. Growing up entity, that's right. Okay. So this is like a raw MongoDB object that it's called some time ago, so I forgot it was looking for a property and a property. We should get into it. All right, there we go. So we're now pulling the room and the description name. Now I need to pull the tiles and avatars. So you see all those avatars on the screen as the people are interacting with the chat. We need to get it into the state object so we can render it in PSP. And this, for you folks interested in JavaScript and client-side JavaScript, I've got a lot for you on what it takes to get elements on a page in the PSP and be able to manipulate them. It's not like modern web where you have to create element or even inner HTML or insert adjacent HTML. Essentially had to build it from scratch using document.write, which is absolutely nuts. But it's been kind of fun. It'll be more fun when I actually get it working. You look right now, this is all I have. Read the server on this Mac and I can pull it up. Make sure you like and subscribe to show your support for your fellow developer out there. It's makes it fun. Like it's a chat with you guys, and you know, like you guys coding what it's like. We just sit there on the computer. And, there's very few people can even talk to about it. I'm sure some of you have like co-workers or classmates and stuff, but you know, when you get 10, 20 years in, or even when you're just doing it yourself, it's like something professional. It really is. It's hard, but the funny thing about that is you can build tools that connect people. So, great darkness, light can be born. Here's how many folks had a PSP when you were younger, and if you saw one today. It's huge. See if the camera focuses. You can see I essentially have a crappy render look implemented right now. It's not actually reloading the page, it's using document.write to redraw all the elements on the page dynamically. So I have a shadow DOM, essentially like how React or Vue or I don't know if Angular works the same way, but React and Vue, when you write elements and template tags or JSX, you render it. Those elements are stored in memory and essentially mapped to elements on the page and then updated if needed. I've had to kind of do a similar setup, but using no create element and no HTML. And we want to get rid of that tile flashing. So we're going to render the tiles on a server-side canvas because the tiles don't often update. We could get into the fact that they do if you go build mode and you edit a room, but we're just focusing on people who have been able to join chats and chat. So we don't want to update the title there. So what we're going to do is potentially have, well, at the very minimum, we're just going to layer different elements that we're going to create when you first load the page. The one option I have is to render each tile server side first, and then we could, update the position of that title and the source using JavaScript. So you can manipulate those basic properties on the PSP. But we have 2 megabytes of RAM, so it makes no sense to burn them up on titles. So if we could just do it in one image for the titles, let's go ahead and do that. So what we're doing now. If you stay tuned on the channel, I've got like a 10-minute video I've been editing that will show you this whole project from beginning to the end. And yes, so something to look forward to.
Snapo says boom. Like number 3. You're helping this project grow.
We're all in it doing. Optimize the different things and just see secular do some of it, you know. There we go. So we've got our tiles loading in now. So row and column represent like X and Y of the tile. And then we have a texture. And then you have some other properties like tint, which is the hex code, and then alpha. But all we care about is pulling in the texture and the spatial position. What we might do is transform this data so we don't have to. Let's know this crap. Let's see. Let's do that. So we can do that quite easily with the map. Yes, introduced functional filters and stuff into the development. This development seems beautiful. It's definitely a big change. Something. Moving on to the shorthand is, even when you're dealing with the PSP and 2 megabytes of RAM, the difference between using a character name with like 3 characters as opposed to 1 makes a difference in the memory you're occupying. We're spoiled today, we don't have to worry about that. Some devices you definitely do. For texture. Let's see if we want. Yeah. So we basically got the same data we need, it's just a little bit shorter, which is important. And we won't be using JSON at the end of this. This will be actually XML. So advanced step-wise processing for PSP. Like a path in the numbers form. You can see there's a lot of tiles just in one room. So that's the Steam room right here. Every tile is represented by at least one little object here, which is that size. So where my highlighted cursor is, that is one tile. And you can see that there's okay. So we want to do the same for avatars now. We might end up looping the chats into the avatars, so we don't have to do any transformation on the PSP side. We always come back and clean up later. So for me, it's important just, especially in your personal projects, just get some code on the screen, get it working, and then you can refactor. Okay. Roll for row and column for the avatar, X and Y. This is the spatial position. What else? then we can pull our avatar spreadsheet or just a frame. Okay, so now we're pulling our avatars. There's only one avatar in the room, which is me. Username Snapple. Here's my ID and the XML location. So right now I'm on X3, Y10. If I go in the room and move to a different tile, and we reload our endpoint here, you'll now see I'm on X8, Y12. So that's live updating. No matter where I'm at in the room, when I hit this API, I'll get in position. So it's important. It's crazy. I'm surprised the sun isn't up yet. It's nuts. Definitely getting to season change down here. At least with the amount of light we have in the day. Millions. What else we want? Tiles with the empathy. Guess we want to get in the nights. Still have them. We circle back into a Commodore 64 version for the YouTube chat. Having a simpler, cleaned up data structure. It's like low on memory. That makes sense. Cool. So that's pulling out items. Now the pull thing I haven't showed you. Even if I change room to like a really big room, so watch, it's going to generate a ton of data. So I'm going to go downtown, and this is a giant room. You can see how large it is. Okay, now if I go back to my data here for that room and reload it, you can see it's much bigger, and it's pulled in all the new items for that room in. Tiles, so you can see like we've got blocks, there's picket fences. You can see me down here. So once we've almost got our data sorted here, we're going to go back, finish our server side, render our tile map for the PSP, and then we'll go back onto the PSP and using document.write, we'll render our chat bubbles from the chat messages, which we have to add next, and render our avatars. And then we're going to see if we can do any sort of tweeting on the avatar. So if a user walks on any tile, we can show that. Let's go in the chat and then doing content. So let's find out. This is on the WebSocket side of things. You can see everything's set up to kind of use an event bus architecture. The name of the system I call it is like Kynto. That's kind of like the kernel. It's not a bit like in front of me. We push the students. Okay, that's handy. I'm storing the last chat in the time. So we could go ahead and pull that in now. So what we'll do for each avatar, we'll have a chat property. We'll call it C. And then within there, it's a message. So it's my user. Chat is currently empty. And let's go ahead and put a message into the chat system. We'll go ahead and reload this and see if I put it. Let's go ahead and pull what we've got. Let's test them up my love it. We try to set everything up so you can microservices here. So I'm not a separate request. Yeah, same thing. Okay, now moving into the Node.js canvas layer. We're pulling in create canvas, load image, and canvas. And it kind of behaves like the canvas tag that you have right in the browser, which is good. Now we need to take our room data and return a PNG, which we're then going to use Express to forward onto the front end.
One new subscriber.
Under PDF. Yeah, so now we're going to import and render it here into this. Stand up another one. Yeah, cool. How are you doing? Okay, so that's it. Get this PNG buffer. Output is a response. Yeah, you can have an AJS emulate being an image sense. Response something. You should additional like, that's very good.
4 likes and growing. Every single one helps build this world.
I just want to test this because I wrote this renderer code, but I haven't tested it yet. This will be the first test. We have a broken image, but this is so hard. Like this. Thanks. Let's see if I can get it right. Gotta draw a limb, it's too big. This is like the big machine. Let's go to a smaller one.
Elias S says, hey buddy, what's up?
Hey man, how are you? Appreciate it. I'm using Visual Studio Code for my editor. Okay, so there's an issue. For symmetric windows, something. Why is it still missing? Still don't have an image. Go ahead and just cache this. And take out as a math and kind of this width and height. Hardcore values. Oh, we didn't update it. Monday. Yeah, it's completely wrong, but we'll see. Let's just go on here.
Manik Sharma says, what are you making?
So I'm working on this system that you're chatting with me on. But I'm working on bringing it to the PSP. So that's what I'm working on tonight. Today, appreciate the question. Looks like a live position is off into the live stuff. So many times I've been here today. So now we put offsets off. So I'm not about with that. We're generating a PNG tile map. So PSP doesn't have to render each dynamic tile. We do it in the current system. H5. Which one this is a unique canvas element. Alright. I'm going to end it here if we don't have any more questions, but just a reminder, let's get on. The avatars you see on the screen are people that chatted with me tonight. I appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. It's a whole system that connects to YouTube, Twitch, and that. And I've also like bringing it to vintage technology, so bring it to PSP. Can't believe this thing is vintage now. It shows you how old I'm getting. I'm not that old, not even in my mid-30s yet, just barely, but I started coding when I was like 12, so I guess I am getting. It's good fun. It's some progress. That's it off. Yeah. If you can, like and subscribe. That way, YouTube will show you this project when I work on it. Over the course of the next couple of days, and you'll get to see where this ends up. And hopefully, come back, help me test it as well. So, once again, appreciate you. Get outside this weekend and get coding at night. All right, let's shut it down using the system that I built. So, first step is to get rid of all the avatars on screen that came from YouTube. To do that, I come in here and I click stop, and you guys are off. And then the next step, I integrated using WebSockets to OBS. So I come in here and I click stop streaming, and then you